just about this time 2 years ago, you were your 2020 was fully and truly booked, and you were headed for Edmonton for the Edmonton Folk Festival, and we were all laying in wait, and then all shit happened. All the world fell apart. How did those years? I know that you must have obviously kept working on your songwriting and your recording and your creative juices. How else? Your private life? Did you get to meet your kids and know your kids and not be on the road all the time? And
Well, I know my kids pretty well anyway, but yes, I got a lot more time, especially with my daughter.
yeah,
She's 8 years old, going on 9, and she lives with me half the time. So we've had a lot of very close, wonderful times during COVID.
did you do a lot of daughter things?
Daughter things, like what would
Well,
those be?
sometimes it would be an art gallery. Sometimes it might be a zoo.
Well, we were in lockdown for a lot of the
Yeah,
time.
that's true. Very true.
Out. Um, now that things have opened up again, it's back to normal. I'm a ballet dad. I take her to ballet classes. And recently she's been getting into Taylor Swift, and I bought her vinyl copies of Taylor's 2 recent albums, Folklore and Evermore.
Right.
So we've been listening to those together.
I saw that Taylor Swift showed up on your top 100 guest list that you did for, I think, for Spotify.
Yeah.
I took it. I went down. I was looking for Canadians for one thing.
Uh-huh.
I saw the band, Dylan. I saw Springsteen. Saw Taylor.
Neil might have been in there as well somewhere.
Who? Neil? Yeah.
Neil.
Neil was, maybe Joni. That does that represent influences or admiration?
Just favorite records, Terry.
Yeah.
Just favorite records. Some of them haven't had any influence on me. I just love them, and others would have had a huge influence on me.
How about songwriters? What attracts you to when you hear a well-tuned phrase? Does it matter who's doing the writing and singing? It's just a great song.
Oh, it doesn't matter at all. I like a great song. Yeah, it's very important that the lyrics pass muster. There are many people who can write fantastic melodies, but when it comes to the lyrics, they might be facile. But I really appreciate a profound lyric.
Do the riffs come to you? Do the melodies come to you quickly, or is it the words that actually drive things?
It's both. Each drives the other.
The reason why I ask is that some songwriters I've talked to over the years talk about having a box of paper, and they just pull from it when they're looking for inspiration, things that they've written over the years, and it's like found material. It's a box of sometimes it's the key to a song.
Yes, sometimes I work like that. Yes, I have it's not all on paper these days, it's on a computer file, but I've got a list of unused titles, lines, couplets, verses, but I don't always go to it. Sometimes if I have an idea, I'll just work freshly.
Can you walk away from it and come back?
Oh, yes, indeed. Yes. I like to work always at my peak capacity, Terry, and I can tell if I'm getting a little tired or my perspective is suffering from being too close to it, and I'll always take a break. Now it might only be a 2-minute break. I might just go and look at what's happening on Twitter and come straight back to it. Mind shifted, or I might leave it for 2 years.
Can your daughter say something that ends up being a lyric, do you think?
Yes, she could, yeah. But she writes her own lyrics, so I don't want to steal anything from her.
Okay. Plus, somewhere down the way, she's going to get an agent. All Souls Hill. I went looking, by the way. The title. I thought, well, maybe you'd pulled it from somewhere on the place on the Earth, on planet. Mm-hmm. So I looked up All Souls Hill on maps, and there were 7 places in the world that had sort of a reference to All Souls Hill.
Really?
I couldn't.
I Googled it myself and didn't find anything.
I found, but I got a church in Cobble Hill. It's no more than 12 minutes from here. It's one of the 7 in the world. That it's an Anglican church.
Is that All Souls Church or is it All Souls Hill?
Yeah, it's like that. Yes. Yeah.
I don't think there's any All Souls Hills though.
No, there's no. Surprisingly, so it's a great naming title, great title, frankly. And
Thank you.
I got to tell you, I absolutely love this album and these songs. They're strong. They're it's good work, Mike. It's really good work.
Thank you.
I mean, I don't know if you I know that you care about opinion and you care how people, because once you hand off a project, then it's the world's opinion, and then they take on the songs and they take on the characters, and it becomes their favorites and whatever, and there's not much you can do about it once you set it in motion. Do you feel like do you have that same philosophy?
I know that once it goes out into the public, it belongs to who can see it and who can hear it. Yeah,
it's a strange process. It's like sending children off into the world. It's amazing, and it's your life. It's your life. It's what you do. You open yourself up to us.
It's a bit like being at school as well. When you get the reviews, it's like getting the report from the teachers.
Yeah. What was your most damning report when you got talked about it, teachers in school? Where you were
always didn't pay attention. Yeah,
were you a dreamer?
I was always looking out the window dreaming. I was always listening to music in my head.
Yeah,
it was music.
Well, you followed the right path.
Yeah, I found what worked for me.
What'd your family want you to be?
Do you know, they never pushed me in any direction. I think my parents split up and I lived with my mum. And I think she realized early on that music was what I really loved, and she never stood in my way at all. In fact, she used to kind of roadie for my first band. Roadie is maybe the wrong description, but she used to drive us to the gigs, and she had this hatchback little car that we used to get the amps in, and she would come at the end of the gig and collect us. Very helpful.
Did she do security as well?
No. She would have done if she'd had to.
I read somewhere your last gig before COVID shut everything down was in
Lisbon.
In a bull ring.
Yeah, it was in a beautiful big amphitheater in Lisbon. Yeah.
My goodness. What was that like for you?
Well, it's a venue we'd played before, and it was the last show, as you said, on a European tour that we did, and it was packed, absolutely packed, and it was a magnificent spectacle, and we just loved it, and it was a great one to go out on. It was a great memory to have during the long layoff.
I saw a note that said from All Souls Hill that the first song was "Here We Go Again." And your friend Simon Dine had sent you a dozen or so instrumental beds. And that's the one that caught your attention. What was it about it? And was it easily written?
It was that riff, that dang, danga, dang, danga, dang, danga, dang, danga. That little riff sparked a melody, and I found myself singing along. Here we go again. I didn't know what it was going to be about or anything, but one thing led to another. And that was the first song that was written, yeah.
Did he also write Blackberry Girl?
It's his musical bed, yeah.
That is a great little song.
Thank you. I love that one too.
It was, if I'm not mistaken, it's 2 minutes and 45 seconds, just under 3 minutes.
Sure. Yeah, the single is even shorter. I edited the intro for the single.
I remember that because one of the first times you got on stage, the lady that was running, I think an American lady that was running the room, said, "You got 3 minutes, get up there." So
that was when I lived at the Findhorn Spiritual Community. And the community, I was already a rock and roll star when I went there. It was in the early 90s. And every Friday, the community would have a concert. It's a variety concert, kind of amateur variety concert. And it was an American lady called Patsy, a very tough, formidable lady. And she was in charge of the concert. And she said, "Well, you've got 3 minutes." I loved that.
I like this question, so I'm going to ask it. What happens to you, Mike Scott, when you take those 12 steps out on stage from the side to the front? Anything special happen inside you? And
yeah, a number of things are happening. Yes. One of the things that happens actually transpires in the dressing room shortly before we go out. I often notice that on concert days, I'm very tired, I've no energy.
yeah,
And it can even be like that in the dressing room. I'll be 15 minutes before stage time and I'll be yawning and I'll have no energy. And I think, how can I possibly be on stage in 20 minutes? And then it's as if someone puts a switch on 2 minutes before stage time. And suddenly all the energy that I haven't had all day, which I realize now has been banked, suddenly comes on stream. And when I walk out there, I've got all the energy and all the fire. And the thing that happens when I walk out is I encounter the audience and I walk into the audience's perception field and the audience's awareness or expectations, projections, excitement. And I love walking out into that energy field, and I've got my own way of diffusing it or playing with it. If I want to diffuse it, I'll walk out really slowly and I'll maybe make eye contact with the audience and give them a sort of wry look, a sort of, oh, it's you lot again, is it? Or if I'm feeling very excited, I'll copy a thing that I saw Mick Jagger do in 1973 when the Stones played in Glasgow. I was in the audience and he ran out on stage and he did this, looked at the whole audience with his hand over his eye like that. And it had the effect of bringing everyone right in. It was fantastic. So I often use that one too.
Yeah, that is a great move. It really is. The Liar. Audience, I'm trying to get these questions in about the track simply because it gives me an excuse to play the damn thing and I want to play it. The Liar. A Liar is such a grinder. We know it's about Trump. It just has that feel to it. It's in the grit. It's in between the teeth of the machine. Again, something that came quickly or was hanging around waiting to be told?
It was hanging around, actually. I had written the lyric in an earlier version of the lyric in sort of COD Lord of the Rings language, because one of the things that kept me sane during Trump's abysmal presidency was a Twitter account by someone calling himself Gollum Trump. And he would comment every day on whatever was going on, as if he was Trump, but as if he was also Gollum. And the precious was the presidency, and very, very funny tweets. And when Trump first got impeached, I wrote this poem when Gollum Trump was peached. And I posted it on Twitter. I think it was in 5 consecutive tweets. And then when he got impeached for the second time, around about January 6th, I thought, I'm going to bring out that lyric and I'm going to rewrite it in regular language so that it's got the edge to it. And just on cue, Simon sent me one of his sound beds. And it was that minor key doomy sound bed. And I thought, that's the one for when Trump's impeached. It's
like a jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah.
If you wait for that piece to come along to pop it in, it's fantastic.
That's right.
The singles are The Liar, All Souls Hill, and Here We Go Again.
Yeah, Blackberry Girl will probably come out as well.
Which one?
Blackberry Girl.
Blackberry Girl, wonderful.
Single.
Once We're Brothers. Now, this one immediately drew my attention because I've known Robbie most of my life. And I love this song, and I love the chord structure and the way he wrote it and what he heart and soul he put into it. And I love the fact that you messed with the lyrics a bit and the song slightly, and still kept it within the framework of what we know the song to be. Robbie gave it his blessings.
Yes, he did.
Wonderful.
I added the lyrics that I kind of wished he'd written. He comes out of the bridge in his version, and instead of going to a final verse, a kind of lay it all in the line verse. He goes straight to the chorus. And I thought, God, oh, if only Robbie had written a verse. And I found myself doing something I never really do, adding a verse to someone else's song. And I sent it to one of my band members who said, oh yeah, that might work. And he recorded the basics of the track, and he sent it back to me, and I put a vocal on it, and we both liked it, and we're both in love with the song anyway. But I thought, no, we'll never be able to use it because I've rewritten some of Robbie Robertson's lyrics. I've added a whole new bit, but we stayed with it, and I thought it's good enough. Why don't we get in touch with Robbie and see what he thinks? So my manager, Danny Goldberg, knew Robbie's guy and got in touch with him. And we got an answer back almost instantly saying, oh yeah, Robbie likes the Waterboys. He says it's absolutely fine. Cool. Absolutely brilliant. So gracious. I'm very, very grateful.
He is that gracious man. So Once We're Brothers, Passing Through, is a stunning song. First of all, it's 9 minutes and 16 seconds long, which is long, but not as long as Dylan's single that he put out there. What was it? 16, 17 minutes, which astonished me. I don't know about you. It just astonished me that he could maintain as well as he does. Passing Through is a reference to the life we live.
Well, it's an old country folk song, Terry. It was written in the late 40s, and it was sung by people like Pete Seeger, and Leonard Cohen did a version. In fact, my first encounter with the song was Leonard Cohen's version on his album Live Songs, which came out, it must be around about 50 years ago now. And I loved the chorus, and I loved the first verse about, I saw Adam leave the garden with an apple in his hand. I said, now that you're out, what are you going to do? But I didn't like the rest of the verses. I felt they didn't quite live up to the promise of the first verse and the chorus. So I wrote all the rest of it myself. And over a period of years, actually, I wrote the verse about Martin Luther King about 10 years ago. I had a verse about Hank Williams, which I didn't include, which was, I drove Hank Williams' Cadillac.
Yeah.
As Hank slumbered in the back on the final night in 1952, I offered Hank a smoke, but Hank never woke. He was too far gone, and he was only passing through. I left that one out, but all the other ones were kind of topical, and it's like a cruise through human history, and making the point that we are indeed passing through.
So then, why was now the time for that song to come out, to be birthed?
I wonder. Yes. Well, just around the time I recorded it, just before I recorded it, I had been listening to a lot of gospel music on YouTube. One of my favorite gospel songs is a track called Soon As I Get Home. And it was recorded by a guy called the minister Thomas Whitfield, who came out of Detroit. This was a modern gospel song. And it was on a record about 35 years ago. And it's one of my all-time favorite songs. And I was thinking, God, I wonder if anybody's actually singing that song these days, because Minister Whitfield had died, and I discovered that actually this song has had a magnificent afterlife, and it's now referred to as "I Shall Wear a Crown." And many gospel churches do this song. And I found this version from the Trinity Church in Chicago of the congregation singing "I Shall Wear a Crown," and it absolutely blew my socks off. One of the most moving performances I've ever seen. There's no lead singer in it. It's just the choir, but it's
the power of the choir. Yeah, the power of the choir. Yeah,
yeah, and the Holy Spirit is magnified in the performance. It's fantastic. And after I spent about a weekend just watching this over and over and over, and also checking out all the other versions by other churches. Yeah. And at the end of that, I thought I would really like to record a song like that. But writing gospel songs, I'm not a Christian. I'm not a member of a church or anything like that. And I went through my notes of lyrics that I had or cover songs that I'd done to see if there was something I could work on that felt right to me, but that also had that spirit. Yeah. And I came on Passing Through. So I started singing and playing it, and it landed. It had that. It was a way of me expressing that spiritual feeling. And then when I wrote the last verse about George Floyd, that nailed it for me.
How spiritual are you?
Well, I think everybody's spiritual. It's a capacity that all humans have got.
Hmm. Um, Let me get back to a couple of things. I phoned Terry Wickham, who is the wonderful man who runs the Edmonton Folk Festival, and he mentioned that Steve Wickham is his second cousin or something.
Amazing.
I think so. I mean, apparently there's a whole town of Wickhams. They just breed like rabbits, and
There's a town called Wickham in
yeah,
England.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he's gone on his own, took
Yeah.
his fiddle and went out. We're watching for
Yeah.
that. You're going to be doing Glastonbury. In
Yes.
what form will the band be? Is it a 7-piece, 6-piece, 5/4 trio? What is it?
It's a 5-piece band with Steve Wickham. He played fiddle with us for decades, and he's just gone off. He's gone off to do his own thing, and I wouldn't replace him with another fiddler, but I have two great collaborators who are both keyboard players, and we're going to have both of them in the band. So it's going to be 2 keyboards, myself on guitar, bass drums, and one of the keyboard players also plays lead guitar.
I've got a list of afterthoughts down the left-hand side of my page. There's no higher honor, by the way, that I can give to actually write in foolscap and with pen. I came across the Red Army Blues video from May 2012, and I thought, what's happened to that song since Russia-Ukraine battle?
I've been wondering about playing it, and I was strumming through it the other day in my music room, and of course the song
may need a rewrite.
I couldn't do that. No, it's too serious a song for me to rewrite it. But I'm not sure it quite speaks to this moment, and I haven't made up my mind yet. You see, it appears to have sympathy for a young Russian soldier. Actually, he may be from the Ukraine. It's the Second World War we're talking about, when Ukraine was part of the USSR. So he may be from the Ukraine. But seeing the atrocities that the Russian army is committing, I don't really want to be singing a song about a Russian soldier.
Yeah.
I think I might leave it alone for now.
The Magnificent Seven box set. It was a lot of work.
Yeah, that was lockdown work.
Was it? Sorry?
That was lockdown work.
Yeah, that's right. Was it well received?
Very, very well received. Yes, and that lineup of the Waterboys. It's the 7-piece band we had in 1989 to 90. Wasn't a well remembered lineup of the band, but I felt there was such a great story that it deserved a book and a box set.
I meant to ask you. There's something else that you can't control. I was talking about releasing your singles, and they go out to the world, and they become what they become. Your place in the world of music, Waterboys. You can only do what you do, and then people see you for what you are or what they believe you to be.
Yeah.
Now, today, 2022, what is the Waterboys? Stand back just for a bit and look at Waterboys and say their place in the world of music today is.
No, I can't do that. I can't see it like that.
Okay.
No, I can tell you how I feel and what I think. And I'm intensely competitive. I want to be the best songwriter in the world.
Sure.
So I look at what other people are writing, and I think, is that good? Do I write as good as that? Can I top that? And that's the kind of way that I approach it.
Well, it shows itself in the songs, mate. Yeah. These are killer songs. These are killer songs. Every one of them has something that we can take. Well, and some of them will just stay with us forever because we're just going to get hung up on them. I'm astonished that with this 2-year period and the fracturedness of what we were dealing with, that you were able to find a co-writer, find the musician, and just put it together and still watch the world unfold as it did. It's quite remarkable. You should be very proud.
Thank you.
Right. So, Hollywood Blues. Is it Dennis Hopper's on-screen character that you're writing about, or Dennis Hopper's off-screen character?
Dennis Hopper's off-screen character. You know, that was the greatest role he ever played, was Dennis Hopper.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan might be the wrong word, but a lover of Dennis Hopper.
Yeah.
He's one of my hero is the wrong word. I'm not saying that I admire everything that he did or aspire to his behavior, but in the sense of him being a maverick and a guy who was committed to art and did what he felt was right, he's someone that I look up to. Yeah, I've got a number of these American heroes. Leon Russell is another one.
Ah, man, now you're talking.
Yeah.
Now you're talking. You know, he did that, his whole career that he had as just part of the LA music scene, I mean, with Phil Spector. And
Amazing.
Amazing.
He's on My Baby. Yeah.
And the fact that he survived that.
Yeah.
And then, so I hook up with him. I'm lucky enough to be at the Fillmore East the night that Joe Cocker, Mad Dogs, and Englishmen played for the first time.
Oh, wow.
In America. Dylan is hiding in the exit. There's a little exit that's got sort of like a hole, a square, and he's tucked in. You can see the brim of his hat.
Yeah.
And he's watching. He's never takes his eyes off Leon Russell.
Whoa.
Leon Russell.
Yeah.
There's the man right there.
Yeah.
There's a songwriter. All right. Anyway, I made a note here. The American Adventures of Mike and Paul. Mm-hmm. May the 16th at the Gramercy Theater in New York City, and May the 18th in Brooklyn. Paul is your brother?
He's Brother Paul. He's the Waterboys keyboard player. Yeah. And I call him Brother Paul because when I first met him about 10 years ago, he addressed me as Brother Mike. He calls everyone brother this or brother. Hey, Brother Steve. So yeah, I inevitably christened him Brother Paul, and that's what he's known as now.
Just the two of you?
Yeah, yeah. It's just to kind of say hello to the American audience briefly before the record comes out, and I think it's the week after it comes out.
You couldn't do Glastonbury with just the two of you. You need a little volume.
We need the whole band for Glastonbury.
Yeah,
but these are the ones. The Mike and Paul shows are small theaters, which is beautiful for a little intimate show.
What songs of the ones that we know you for, which ones lend themselves to just two guys on stage?
Well, do you know, most of them do, Terry. Most of them are cool. Most Waterboys songs begin with a guy strumming an acoustic guitar in a room or playing on a piano. So most of them lend themselves. Even rock and roll songs like Medicine Bow from the This Is the Sea album, we do a great version of that with acoustic guitar and piano.
I did an interview with Los Lobos a while back, and because I know them, I asked the question about how did you survive La Bamba? How did you get past that success, which is a wonderful thing to happen, but how did you get on with your life and your music and bring it along with you, but not let it overwhelm you? Same thing with you and Hole of the Moon. How did you, because I'm sure that there was an audience out there that said, give us more, give us that right there, give us more of that, and then you went your separate ways. You wrote to your heart. How did you deal with it at the time?
Well, the funny thing about The Hole of the Moon is that when it first came out, it wasn't a hit.
Yeah.
It was a hit in South Africa and a couple of other countries, but it wasn't a hit in Britain or America. It was a single that didn't quite catch on. It
got re-released
about 6 years later. But you see, that gave me 6 years to pull away without any undercurrent of, oh, you got to keep doing The Hole of the Moon. Yeah. And by the time it was a hit, it was an oldie. To me, it was an oldie. So I've never felt millstoned by it in any way. Unfortunately, it's really great to play live.
Yes.
I never get tired of playing it. And the whole audience sings along. It's great.
All right. You love your videos of this. I encourage people to go and check you out on YouTube. You have fun with the camera.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun making videos. Do you know that we've just done one for Here We Go Again in this very chair?
Yes.
Yeah, my psychedelic ball chair.
Is that just a landscape there, or you actually spend time in that bowl chair?
I sometimes sit around in it. Yeah, It's a really nice place to read. You know, if I sit back and put my feet up, it's a lovely place to read. And my daughter loves it because she fits in the whole of her.
Yes, and you can spin her.
Yeah.
As long as she doesn't throw up. I know you being the songwriter that you are, that you would have an internal little organism in you, other than your heart, that would kick you into gear. You called it an itch. You have an itch that you have to get things done, that songs will move themselves along, and you have an inner voice that tells you when you miss the mark or when you should add to something. How's that dialogue go?
Well, I'm not one of these people that writes every day, and I don't sort of clock in at 9 o'clock or something like that. I write when I feel like it, and when I say feel like it, I get a sort of go feeling inside in my guts that says, now's the time to write. And of course, it may be sparked by an idea. I might have come up with a title, but then again, I might sit on it for a while. But when I get the go feeling, I'll go and work on it. Okay. And I'll work on it as long as I'm fresh and as long as I'm enjoying myself. And the itch thing is, you know, I was once writing a song. I mentioned Medicine Bow a minute ago. It was actually when I was writing Medicine Bow. I thought I had the song finished. I'd written 3 verses and it had its chorus. And I thought, oh man, I've written a song, hooray. But then just as I was putting the paper away, I got this itchy feeling inside, a sort of, wait a minute feeling. And I thought, what's that? There's something telling me not to let this go. So I got the paper back and I thought, well, all right, if I was to add something, what would it be? And within about 5 minutes, I'd written the bridge. And the bridge makes the song a hell of a lot better. And I was really grateful for that little itch. And I realized, hey, I've got some help here. If I pay attention, maybe this little itch thing will keep working with me.
It's funny, the last guy that talked about the bridge like that was Brian Adams about 20 years ago. He said the bridge is everything to me. I take one song that has nothing to do with another and I put them together and the bridge gets me there.
Bridges are great fun, man, because you get the shift into the different atmosphere of the bridge. Yep. And you get the statement that heightens the sense of everything. And then you can get the glorious return to the verse of the chorus. And you might put a key change in to give it a little heightening. Bridges are so cool, man. I love bridges.
I'll leave you with this, and I thank you for your time. I really do. I'm going to take you back to that question about what happens to you when you walk from the side of the stage to the microphone and the spotlight. But when that audience sings back to you your words, your very private and personal words, all of a sudden thousands of people are talking, hundreds of people are talking, whatever. Describe that moment. What does it feel like inside? You're the only one that's ever going to know what that feels like. What does it feel like when the entire room is singing your song back to you, and there's a love going on over the stage lights?
Well, it's a wonderful feeling. It's a wonderful feeling. It's like a kind of walking on water feeling. It's not that I'm walking on water because I'm special. It's like the whole place is walking on water and everybody's united. It's a very magical thing. But it's not something I think about, honestly. It's hard for me to tell you what it feels like because I just experience it, and then back in the dressing room, I'm not really thinking about it. I'm not thinking, wow, they all sang along with The Whole of the Moon. I'm just not thinking about it. I'm
maybe when you put your head down on the pillow at the end of that night, if you could still hear us singing.
Yeah, it's a peak experience, yes, but I'm more likely, when I put my head on the pillow, I'm more likely to be thinking about the musical surprise that happened. That's just me.
Yeah.
The improvisation that suddenly caught fire, that'll be the one that I'll replay in my mind.
I want to thank you for doing this, Mike Scott. Thank you. And
you're very welcome, Terry.
And 2022 is going to be an interesting year for you. Let's all just get through it together, okay?
Indeed, yes. As Paul Simon once said, let us hope that we continue to live.
And please come to Canada.
Will do. I think in the autumn we're coming.
Are you promising or are you just teasing?
No, our managers are putting together a tour at the moment.
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome.
I'll see you on the Western End when you run out of
Okay,
land.
man.
Thank you. Thank you, man. Thank you.